Let's start with a beautiful Dhyana Shloka that describes Lord Hanuman in this form. This is that Shloka. I'll chant this first. You can listen to the words. We'll chant this again. We'll see what the meaning of this Shloka is, how it describes him. Because once we understand the words of this Shloka, it'll become easier to understand his form and what he symbolizes and signifies. The Shloka goes like this. Vande Vanara Narasimha Khagarat Krodashvavaktranvitam Divyalankaraṇantri Panchanayanam Dedipyamanam Rucha Hastabjairasikheta Pustaka Sudha Kumbhankushadrim Halam Khatvangam Phanibhuruham Dashabhujam Sarvari Virapaham. So that is the Dhyana Shloka corresponding to the five-phased form of Lord Anjaneya, Lord Hanuman, Lord Pavanaputra, Lord Anjanesutta, and many other such names of his. I seem to have some audio issues. I hope the audio is fine, guys. I don't want to continue and then realize that the audio was bad. So, we might have heard or come across some stories that Hanuman is an aspect of Rudra, a fierce form of Shiva. We see this, that whenever an incarnation, an avatar of Lord Vishnu happened, Shiva was not far behind. He was always present in some form or the other in Lord Vishnu's life. So the relationship between Shiva and Vishnu are also intertwined. We see this in Vagartha Sampraktau Shloka as well when we did the Vakshuddhi course. But this fierce aspect of Hanuman, as this Shloka describes him, has 5 faces. He is seen with 15 eyes, 3 eyes for each of his faces, 10 hands. Each of those hands, of course, because 5 people, 5 deities, 2 hands each, 10 hands, and each of those hands hold various weapons and instruments that correspond to all the 5 deities which are present in the Vigraha, in this Murti of Anjaneya. And why we are doing this is because, of course, a lot of you wanted to understand the chant that you just heard, Ram 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 Ramaduta Raktavarnam. So that chant has 5 shlokas. You might have already noticed this as the chant was playing. And each of those 5 shlokas has one bija mantra associated with it. Ram, Kham, Im, Ham and Sam, respectively, for all the 5 faces. So, how do we understand this shloka before we go to the words of Ramaduta Anjaneya Stotram? There are rarely just a handful of chants that correspond to Panchamukha Anjaneya, Panchamukha Hanuman. This Dhyana Shloka is taken from the Panchamukha Hanumat Kavacham. Kavacham literally meaning a shield, a protective cocoon of energy of Lord Hanuman that one can generate around oneself, which protects them from all sorts of negative forces, be it diseases, be it ill health or ill fortune. So be it any kind of troubles, Hanuman is one of the deities who is said to be very easy to please. Hanuman and Anjaneya, these two, and Hanuman, of course, Anjaneya, and Vinayaka, Vigneshwara, Ganesha. These 2 deities are the easiest to please and they are quick to respond, is what the tradition says. So, but this fierce form, this very energetic form of Lord Hanuman has very, very few chants. Of course, this shloka, as I said, belongs to the Panchamukha Hanumat Kavacham, and that is very rigid. It is quite long and lengthy, and it has different kinds of rhythms changing in between. And one of the, not so strict, not so rigid, some free flow kind of a chant, that some sage, we don't even know who compiled the chant that we are about to learn, which was used in the movie, but they used it in the movie because it was short, it was easy to chant, it was nice and vibrant to set to tune as a song. So they used that. But before we go there, let's try to understand this shloka, which is set to a particular meter. The 5 shlokas we are about to learn next in the song, they are not exactly in one particular chandas or meter. It seems there was some freedom taken with it, so it's not rigid. People might claim that this is from some traditional source, but where that shloka is from, where that entire Ramaduta Stotram is from, is also not known. Its origins are not known. Maybe some Mahatma somewhere, some poet or composer or a devotee in the past must have written it, and that has been coming down as, with no credits to ascribe that this was the person who compiled it. But the Hanumat Kavacham is much more rigid, it's much more powerful as a sadhana. So this shloka is from there. So of course, to understand any shloka, we go to our layer-wise arrangement of the meanings of this shloka. So the words of this shloka can be arranged like this. It might seem a little daunting, but trust me, this will make this once you get a hang of it, it will make the shloka very, very easy to understand. There is only one key idea being conveyed in this shloka. For those of you, we have a lot of people who are interested now who are watching this. For those of you who do not know what this arrangement of words in this shloka is, this is a unique approach we take here at the Sanskrit channel, where we arrange the words of a shloka that we want to understand into layers. So how these layers are is, at the topmost, we have the main idea that is being conveyed in the shloka. And all the other words of the shloka that support that main idea are layered one level below and to the right. If that word is further described by other words of the shloka, they are stacked one layer further down below. So if we want to connect the meanings back, we go to the lowermost layer, then one layer above, one layer on top, and one layer on top. That is how we make the connections. So as you see in this layer-wise arrangement of the words of this Dhyana shloka, there is only one key idea that is being conveyed, which is Vande, I worship. Vande is a Atmanepada prayoga, where the person who is chanting the shloka is saying, I worship. Whom do I worship? Vaktra Anvitam. Anvita is the one who possesses, the one who has, the one who is equipped with. What is he equipped with? Vaktra Anvitam. Vaktra means a face. I worship the one who is equipped with the face. Vande Vaktra Anvitam. What kind of a face? Vanara, Narasimha, Khagarat, Kroda and Ashva. These 5 faces. Vanara, which means the one who lives in a vana. Vana meaning a forest or a grove. So the one who lives, the forest dweller, which can be thought of as an ape or a monkey, one who hangs and climbs on trees and dwells on trees. Vanara. Narasimha is Lord Vishnu's incarnation as half man, half lion, but because this is only the face, there is only the lion's face. Khaga Rat, that Rat, I mean, it's from the same root sound as Raja. Khaga, we saw again, that which moves through space. Khaga is a word for a bird. Khagarat is the king of birds, which is an eagle, which is again Lord Vishnu's Vahana, which is a Garuda. Then Kroda is the word for a wild boar, once again signifying Lord Vishnu's incarnation as Varaha, which is a boar. The Sanskrit word for which is Kroda. And Ashva, which means a horse, which is once again Lord Vishnu's incarnation as Hayagriva, the one with a horse-like face. These 5 faces correspond to the 5 elements, Panchabhutas. So each of them corresponding to one element each. So if we look at Varaha, he is the most obvious because he is associated with the earth element. A Varaha is a very, very earthly bound, a very fierce, ferocious, stubborn kind of an animal. So Varaha, and he is the one who lifted Bhumata, as the Puranic stories go, from the deluge of creation when the earth was submerged in the waters, the cosmic waters, and it was impossible for life to flourish. Varaha is said to have brought Bhumi up. So he is associated with the Bhu Tattva or the earth element, the first of the 5. Then comes Hanuman is for water, the water element. Narasimha is for the fire element because he is all explosive, and he is in the Bhukhandam Varanandam Shloka of Narasimha. We see that he emerges as there is pillars of circling fire that come out of the pillar. So Narasimha is for the fire element. Vanara is for the water element, his name being Kapi, and Kam Pibati, the one who dwells and in water bodies, around water bodies, is Kapi, so he is associated with the water element. Garuda, who flies across space, he is associated with the wind element, and Hayagriva on the top is associated with the space, with Akasha. So with this correlation, the 5 faces of Panchamukha Anjaneya correspond to the 5 elements. So, and those 5 faces represent Hanuman's mastery as the master of yoga himself over the 5 elements, and he is full-fledged in his expression as these 5 deities who correspond to the 5 elements. And then he is also described as Divya Alankaranam. He is the one who is adorned with Divya, which can be translated as divine or resplendent, glorious ornaments. Then 3 Panchanayanam, once again, because he is a master of all these 5 elements and he is a master of yoga, the process itself, his perception is full-fledged, and that is why 3 Panchanayanam, because he has 5 faces, of course, Pancha, and each of those faces having 3 eyes, the third eye in each of those faces representing that he is now a master of yoga itself. We'll see him being a master of yoga and being Hamsa. There are these very fascinating words which represent him being a master of yoga within himself in the Ramaduta Anjaneya Stotram as well. But here he is described as 3 Panchanayanam. And Dedipyamanam. Deepa, everybody knows, is a light or a lamp. Dedipya is a light that is glowing brightly, incessantly. And he is ever glowing full-fledged. Rucha, with brilliance. And Dasha Bhujam. Again, because 5 faces, 2 each, and he has 10 arms. What these 10 arms are holding corresponds to various stories, Puranic stories that correspond to all of these 5 deities. Asi, what Dasha Bhujam, 10 arms. And how are those 10 arms? With Hasta Abjaihi. They are holding with lotus-like hands. Abja is the word for a lotus. Apaha, up, meaning water, and Abja is that which is born out of water, which is a name for a lotus. Hasta Abjaihi is lotus-like hands. What is he holding with his lotus-like hands? Asi, which means a sword. Kheta, a shield. Pustaka, a book. Sudha Kumbha, a nectar pot, Amrita filled kalasha. Ankusha, which means a goad, which is used to control wild animals, to domesticate them, or the senses, to bring them under control. That is an Ankusha. Ankusha literally means something which is used, an instrument used to bring under control. Adri means a mountain, referring back to his story of Hanuman lifting the mountain and bringing Sanjeevani. Hala, which means a plough, which is indicative again of the first form of civilization and culture, which is agriculture and ploughing. Again, it has metaphorical descriptions of preparing oneself for the seed to sprout. It has many metaphorical meanings, but the simplest being a first sign of being cultured and knowledge and finer aspects of living sprouting. And hala, which means a plough. Khatvanga, which means a club, like a gada. Pani is a snake. Again, Garuda being the one who catches and has command over all snakes. And Bhuruha, which means a tree. Bhuruha is that which grows out of Bhu or earth. But here it means a wish-fulfilling tree, which is the Kalpa Vriksha itself. And the final word is Sarva Ari Veera Apaham. Sarvari Veerapaham. There are variations in this particular word. Some shlokas say Sarvari Garvapaham, Sarvari Darpapaham. None of those alter the rhythm of it. All of them are in appropriate chandas. But Arivira as a word is more commonly used. So Veera is a valiant one, a brave one. Arivira is a valiant enemy. Ari is an enemy. And all such Sarva Arivira, all such great enemies, Apaha. He is the one who puts them down, who destroys them, who takes care of them. What kind of enemies? Once again, we saw both internal enemies in terms of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, or external enemies like ill health, ill fortune, negative influences from outside, all sorts of Bhuta, Preta, Pishacha, Bhayas as well. So all of them he puts down. So to just quickly recap the words of this shloka. Vande Vaktra Anvitam. What kind of Vaktra? Vanara, Narasimha, Khagarat, Kroda, Ashva. Corresponding to the 5 elements of Bhumi, Apaha, Agni, Vayu and Akasha. In that sequence as well. And because he is a master of those 5 elements now, he is again resplendent. He has all these ornaments, Divya Alankarana, which he is adorned in. He has 15 eyes with 3 in each of his 5 faces, and he is glowing resplendently with 10 arms with lotus-like hands holding a sword, a shield, a book, and Sudha Kumbha, a nectar pot, a gourd, a mountain, a plough, a club or a mace, a snake, and a tree, the wish-fulfilling tree. And he is the one who vanquishes all enemies. So this is how we understand the words of this shloka. I know you're all waiting to get to the Ramaduta Anjaneya Stotram part, but once again, we will worship this form of Lord Hanuman, and we'll, with this Dhyana shloka in mind, which has an actual basis in a full-fledged long stotram, we'll go to the more simple, commonly seen but not so rigid stotram, which is Ramaduta Anjaneya Stotram. We'll chant this shloka one more time. Vande Vanara Narasimha Khagarat Krodashvavaktranvitam Divyalankaranantri Panchanayanam Dedipyamanam Rucha Hastabjairasikheta Pustaka Sudha Kumbhankushadrim Halam Khatvangam Phanibhuruham Dashabhujam Sarvari Veerapaham.